My name is Roz Lehman. I'm the director with the Iowa Organic Association. I want to thank the Conservation Learning Group and the Leopold Center for Sustainable Agriculture for helping sponsor today's presentation. Let's see. Okay. IOA, we started as an organization in 2006. We're a nonprofit organization committed to organic education, advocacy, and community cooperation. Our revised mission this year, we've updated our strategic plan, is to advance organic agriculture and food systems in Iowa. And our members are a really diverse community of Iowa's farmers, gardeners, food and farm businesses, advocates, and consumers who are devoted to supporting and expanding organic opportunities in the state. Education is one of our main areas of work. We have developed programs, we recruit expertise and deliver information to help expand and diversify organic opportunities in the state. We're raising awareness about organic production systems, the health benefits of organic food, economic benefits of organic production, and the environmental benefits of organic agriculture. Every summer, we have a series of field days. Webinars like today's program. We'll have a series, a winter webinar series that we'll be rolling out real soon. So keep your eye out for that. And we have partnered and done some research in the past, and that information can be found out on our website as well. Growing organic expertise in Iowa. This is another educational opportunity that IOA started delivering this year. We were the recipient of a SARE grant and to develop 20 technical service provider trainings over the next year and a half. We're looking at working with NRCS, extension folks, FSA offices, but also consultants, lenders, crop insurance agents, folks that are working with farmers to help them better understand the organic market and the organic industry and how farmers might need their help moving forward. We, as I mentioned, we're doing 20 of these workshops. We launched the program at the beginning of last October. Look for another range of workshops coming in February 2020, and they will be scattered around the state. So keep your eye out for that information. Additionally, along our lines of education programming, we launched the Midwest Organic Pork Conference last March. It was the first conference ever organized in the United States focused on organic pork production and marketing and distribution opportunities. We are happy to be able to offer this conference again in March of the next coming year, March 13th and 14th in Dubuque, Iowa. If you want more information or to get on the mailing list, go to www.midwestorganicporkconference.org and you can stay apprised of the details that are developing around that conference as well. Outreach is another integral part of the work the organization is doing. We want to connect with our target audience, and so we go to conferences or other events and programs to meet the needs of our organic target audience. Examples would be the Iowa Organic Conference that just took place in November, right before Thanksgiving. Moses, which is taking place in La Crosse, Wisconsin at the end of February. And then other local type conferences like Practical Farmers of Iowa, which is taking place in January of next year. The Iowa Organic Association also has a web calendar on our website. So not only are our events listed on the web calendar, but other types of events and programs that would be interested to the organic community. We send out a bi-monthly e-newsletter about things that programs Iowa Organic Association is working on, but also other programs, news, interest items that would be interested, or the community would be interested in receiving. We do have a social media presence, and we launched a listserv for the organic community last October. You can find information on how to sign up to our newsletter, to the listserv, and our social media platforms by visiting our website at iowaorganic.org. Another one of the resources that we developed in 2008, and we're in the process of updating and getting out a revised version, is the Iowa Organic Resource Directory. It lists over 900 businesses, nonprofits, educators, and service providers around Iowa and the Midwest to help those that are interested in organic production or businesses, just another tool to help connect that the organic community. and community building. So connecting mentors with experts, connecting folks to resources that are available to help you with organic production and or in other types of organic related business ventures. We just got done with our annual meeting last week. That's another way that we invite our members to come together once a year to connect on like-minded issues. We, as I mentioned earlier, we offer field days during the summer, maybe even in the fall and spring months. So staying connected to our listserv and our Facebook and our e-newsletter are good ways of staying connected to those types of opportunities. Participating in community events, just making sure we're there and available for folks looking for that information. Advocacy is another area that we want to start building as an organization to unify the voice for organic interests. We want to start developing relationships with policy leaders. So those are folks at the local level, all the state level, and and also interacting with your national policy leaders as well. And as an organization, our members can help show the strength and the depth of support for the issues that we're supporting. So it's really important to be able to have that strong membership and those numbers behind us to show the support for the things that we're working towards. And my last slide, so we can continue to move on. If you like what you're hearing in terms of the work that the Iowa Organic Association is doing, the type of information that you're receiving today through this webinar, we are in the throes of our annual membership drive. So consider joining us as a member. Go out to our website, check out our webpage, the different membership and sponsorship options. We'd love to have you. And if you want to talk more, you can shoot me an email or give me a call, and I'd love to talk a little bit more in depth about the organization and how we could work together. So, any questions real quick from any of you before I turn this over to Brandon? Got my eye on the chat screen over here. Okay.
Hey everyone, my name is Brandon. I work with a group called Mad Agriculture, and we are a nonprofit that helps spearhead the Perennial Fund. The Perennial Fund is really a reimagination and a reinvention of finance, so we can actually retie risk back with the farm system. Because right now, as many people know, the way the commercial lending system and farm finances as a whole is operating, it does not work for farmers. And we're really trying to recreate something that does work for farmers and realigns the financial system with the timelines of natural systems. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of the problems that we're seeing with the ag system, what Mad Agriculture does, what the Perennial Fund is, and who it's a good fit for. And if you're interested, feel free to email me or give me a call or shoot me a text, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the fund. So to start, let's just talk a little bit about the industrial ag system and how it's failing farmers. There's a whole bunch of different issues with the ag system, and these are just a few of them. There's high and volatile input costs. They generally squeeze farmers and force them to scale upwards. As your margins get tighter, the only way to start turning a dollar is to grow larger. At the same time, a lot of farmers are degrading their natural assets at the expense of trying to meet some type of an annual budget because they have smaller margins, they're having to take more risk, having to extract more than the land is able to regenerate. Ultimately, this degrades your soil. It leaves farmers vulnerable to the changing climate. I mean, we're seeing more floods, we're seeing more drought, and there's just way more variability, and it's hard to predict what any given year is going to produce. And this, has other negative environmental externalities that come from it, like CO2 being burned off from excess, nitrogen fertilizer application that also creates nitrous oxide, which is a greenhouse gas that's 298 times more powerful than CO2 at warming the atmosphere. And never mind all of the negative effects that this has on our water systems, from the actual, algae blooms that come from this, from excess nutrient runoff, or just glyphosate running down our waterways. And the consumer is catching up to this. We're seeing shifting Consumer trends. I mean, consumer demand for organics have been outstripping uh, supply for a couple of decades now, and it seems like that's going to continue to be the case as millennials and Generation Z, start actually having larger paychecks, and they can start buying these products that they're wanting to support. And this leads to, farmers suffering. Right now, farmers and ranchers get 7.8 cents out of every dollar that flows through the value chain. This has led to farm income at an 18-year low, estimated to be negative $1,449 in 2019. That is not sustainable, and we need to figure out a new way that actually makes farming a reasonable livelihood for people to sustain into the future, considering that farmers grow our food. They grow what supports human life and are really the bedrock of our society. So one solution to this is regenerative organic agriculture. It's a means of realigning agriculture with natural systems by supporting biology and managing soils in a way that improve soil and build soil faster than we're destroying it. This results in building richer soils that are more profitable. They restore farm profitability. We can grow healthy food with less chemicals. And this puts more dollars in the farmer's pocket and can really help revitalize rural America. So, what's our mission in that agriculture? Really, our mission is to reimagine and restore our relationship to earth and one another with good agriculture. And we do this by helping farmers and ranchers develop regenerative farm systems that create ecological and financial wealth. At the core of how we work is really farm planning. And that's a four-step process. First, with visioning, kitchen table talk, seeing what is your vision for the land? Where do you want it to be in 5, 10, 50, 500 years? And what is it like to dream big? What's possible on this landscape? Second phase is design, actually getting into the nitty gritty of designing fields in relation to space, time, and management practices, and then coupling that down with enterprise budgets and actually finding out what's financially feasible to integrate into your operation. Action, actually implementing it, making it happen on the ground. And step 4 is adaptation and creating an adaptive management plan to continually stay nimble and be able to optimize the system based on how things are changing, whether that be weather or succession plan. Markets are changing. It's important to be able to adapt in changing conditions, to be able to take advantage of opportunities and be able to cut losses, trim the fat, and double down on what's working. So that's really the farm planning, which is the core pillar of what we do. And then we balance that with 2 other pieces, which is one, activating NRCS EQIP funding, which will help cost share the adoption of certain conservation practices, and then the Perennial Fund, which is an organic operating loan to help transition acreage to organic. So we have capital, know-how in farm planning, and then on the other side of our system of change, as how we envision it, is premium crop and carbon markets. So really looking for those value adds that can help sustain revenues on the back end to make these regenerative farm systems sustainable, because without the financial piece, it's just not going to work unless it's some type of a hobby farm or otherwise subsidized by government payments, whatever it may be. So we really look for strong partners that are willing to set up long-term contracts and flow more money down the supply chain, ideally down the shorter supply chain, back to the farmer's pocket. So transitioning to regenerative organic ag is an ecologically and economically sound means for farmers to escape the industrial complex. There's a variety of different benefits. I mean, we're looking at lower cost, and that's being able to actually escape the stranglehold that a lot of these large corporations have put on farmers, whether it be GM seeds or fertilizer or land valuations that are not matching the actual value of the land. So it's a means of lowering those annual costs, you can generally find better prices, especially when you hit organic markets. I mean, you look at corn, soy, wheat, lentils, alfalfa, whatever it may be. Most of these are floating anywhere from 200 to 400%. You start looking at some of the vegetables, and they can really get up there above conventional. So you're lowering your cost, you can increase your revenues, and that's going to make you significantly more profitable, generally in the range of 3 to 6x over conventional. And then we could start toying with the idea of additional payment streams flowing in, like carbon payments. So we work with a group called Nori, who's launching the first carbon removal marketplace that's focused explicitly as of now on croplands. And that can pull in, depending on your system, your soil, your practices. I mean, it could be anywhere from 10 to 30 to $40 additional per acre per year on your farm. It's very situational, depending on your soil. How degraded is your soil, how much room is there for improvement, etc. But it's a stream that we're definitely toying with, because as larger companies and as really the U.S. government starts thinking about climate change more seriously, we're going to see big institutions start backing these types of carbon markets. And the ones who can really benefit are the people that can actually start storing carbon. And for farmers, that's in their soils. So, why aren't more farmers transitioning? And, these are things you all know. I mean, most lenders don't understand it. There's a cash flow chasm usually for 2 to 3 seasons during the years that you're getting conventional prices at reduced yields, and that's a difficult time. There could be, for a new farmer, there's limited access to knowledge and community. Finding new markets could be a challenge. Finding infrastructure that can actually store your grains. If you don't have it on site, and all of a sudden you have to haul it 150 miles to get it somewhere, it can be difficult because you may erode that premium simply in transportation fees. And lack of community support. Some farmers are just complete outsiders in the middle of counties that don't have a single organic farm in sight. And we really want to help start knitting those communities together, because there's thousands of really great organic farmers across the country, and it's just a means of starting to connect them to start building a more powerful community and a more powerful relationship with one another. So, out of all these struggles, we really landed on this model, the Perennial Fund, and we're getting up and running. We're set to launch fall of 2020 and really start helping farmers transition to organic in a way that makes sense. So we really wanted to start with fair terms that we would want to see if it was our operation. So we thought, let's make it so you only pay when you're net profitable. We give a 3-year grace period of no payments during your organic transition, where it's the most difficult. We're usually seeing that trough of conventional prices at reduced yields. We help shepherd the transition by giving free on-the-ground technical assistance where it's needed. Not everyone's going to need that, but some people would definitely benefit, especially if it comes with a carbon farm plan. We can help you access EQIP funding to cost share certification costs, or cover crop seed, or a windbreak, or a riparian buffer. There's a lot of money out there that can help support the adoption of practices that will make your farm more profitable, and then help give you connections to premium markets in crops and carbon. And these are all included with every loan that we issue. These are the terms, and this is what we're looking to do. It's really a full suite of services. So starting with the 3-year grace period, you get 2 seasons, 3 seasons of negative cash flow, and that is why we build a 36-month grace period into every loan that we issue, understanding that you'll likely have a net loss during those transitional years. You only start paying once that acreage is certified organic. Again, you only pay when you're net profitable. The loan is paid back based on an equitable share of your net profits after the acreage is certified organic. So if you get hailed out, flooded, you have a drought, the market falls out, whatever it may be, you don't owe anything for that year. We really want to reel in the risk that farmers take with the financial system, and we understand that farming is difficult and you can't control the weather. So we're trying to create a loan that understands that and works with that. There's a payment cap. So unlike a standard interest rate where you're searching for 5, 6, 7%, we're just looking for a fixed amount, 1.5x whatever was loaned over the transitional period. So if you're loaned $300 through the transition, then $450 is owed on the back end once that acreage is certified organic. If you wanted to try to manipulate that into an interest rate over 10 years, it's about a 4.14% interest rate. We think that is a fair rate, and we like that there's upper and lower bounds. So you're only paying it when you're net profitable. And if you do really well and have a banger corn year and just want to pay the loan off, you can do that. There's no early termination fees, none of that junk. You can get out when you pay 1.5x. We provide free on-the-ground technical assistance. So every loan includes that free carbon farming business plan that I had talked about, going through the vision, design, action, and adaptation phases. We give you free access to new markets through these partners that I mentioned before. And there's 2 different options to work with us. We can stack on top of your current operating loan, covering your losses through the transition, or we can be your sole operating lender throughout the organic transition. So, if we stack on top of your current operating loan, we're going to have to ultimately we're going to be loaning less because we're going to be funding your loss, which may be anywhere from $50 to $200 per acre. If we're going to be your full operating lender through the organic transition, that is going to end up being, significantly more capital. And on the back end, you're going to end up owing more, which is going to be a larger share of your net on the back end. So really, it's an option for you. We don't want to come in and displace your lender. It'd be great if everyone that worked with us could keep their current lender. But we know that's not always going to be a possibility, as many of them don't understand organic. They're not going to want to share security. There could be a whole host of issues, but we are flexible into how we can provide capital. So some of our first farmers, the Licas Farms up in northern Montana, they're a first generation organic farm, 8,200 acres of dryland cropland, and they're growing fast. They use extremely diverse 7 and 5 year rotations. They have a short supply chain, selling direct to end buyer wherever possible. They're just great people, and we're excited to hop on board with them. We're also working with another farm in Nebraska, a 2,200 acre farm. They use a lot of different types of precision ag software like CropZilla, CropMetrics, FarmMobile, FarmOS, and Granular, amongst others. And we have many other farms that are interested. Now we just topped about 14,000 acres that are hopping on board, and we're looking to bring more farmers into the fold here for the end of 2020. So if we were to look at the terms from a high level view, it's basically a 10-year note where we issue the funds for 3 years to help you through transition. We target the payback 5 years post transition, and then we build in 2 years of buffer. So that 2 years of buffer accounts for weather and market variation. Hopefully we won't have to use those, but it's volatile, so it's hard to know. Generally, the net profit share is going to fall between 10 and 50%. That's a big range because it depends on if you rent, if you own, where you're growing, how much rainfall you get, all of those factors. So there's an example right there that you can review in your own time. Forgiveness. So 3 years distribution, 5 years payback, 2 years buffer. What happens after year 10? Well, if you weren't profitable as we had predicted in our cash flow analysis, or maybe you got hailed out 3 years in a row, that just some unlucky storm of bad events that came together, and this perfect storm, it's likely that you're not going to hit that 1.5x if if the perfect storm of difficulties came your way. So we've put in forgiveness in this loan. Anything that's owed after year 10 is completely forgiven, and you're off the hook. You don't owe anything. That's it. Loan's closed. And when we're partnering up with you and we're helping you transition to organic, if we can't help you successfully do that, we're not going to get paid back, and we don't expect to keep you on the hook for the next 20 years, and have your kids' college education as collateral or anything like that. So collateral, the loan will be securitized with assets such as the crop equipment or land, depending on the individual farm. And really, this is an individual basis. We're also willing to do unsecuritized loans, depending on previous farmer success and vision and trust. But we don't expect to actually access any of that security unless you violate the loan covenants by reverting back to conventional, or we find out that you're lying on those revenues and expenses that you're reporting. I mean, since you're only paying when you're net profitable, there really isn't any reason why we would go after collateral unless you were to break the agreement and misrepresent what you had initially intended to do. So you're probably wondering who's a good fit. Well, ideally, a farm in the Midwest to High Plains. We have a lot of interest right now in Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Eastern Nebraska, South Dakota, that region. And we would like to stick around there, especially since we're starting to build great communities of farms in those regions. Ideally, you're beginning to transition 100 to 5,000 acres to organic in 2019, 2020, or 2021. So if your land is mid-transitional, you're in T2, that's okay. You can still work with us. And if you're looking to start transitioning land at the end of this year or into 2021, that would be great. Ideally, we want to work with farmers that already have some organic acreage under management, and you're looking to transition, or you're looking to transition some of your conventional land to organic more quickly. So you can cross the hurdle, and you can ideally reduce some of that cash flow restriction that you may have on some of your current organic land. We also want farmers who have experience using many of the soil health principles. So, you have familiarity with minimal tillage, longer rotations, rotational grazing, cover cropping, a lot of the standard practices that are going to ultimately make you significantly more resilient and profitable in the long run. Ideally, farms would own their land, or you are leasing it from a family member and have a succession plan already in place. If this is a 10-year note, we want to make sure you're going to be able to stay on that property for at least 10 years. We want to be confident in that. And we will also be giving priority to those who have a couple of neighbors that would also like to transition. We really would like to transition communities of farmers instead of just individuals. That's not going to be the case everywhere. We will certainly be working with individuals, but there will be priority given to those who have neighbors. So what's next? Reach out with any questions, thoughts. I would love to hear your feedback, whether that be critical feedback, supportive. If you have any questions, seriously, don't hesitate. This is my cell phone. You can reach me here anytime. If I miss you, just leave me a message. And this is my email. So just plug and chug. Have at it. Really, we want to improve this and build this out and make it very successful so that community banks, large commercial banks, and other types of institutions can take these models into their own communities and ideally start helping many more farmers than we'd ever be able to service into the future. So I encourage you to reach out and get involved.
And we're very open to your thoughts, your criticisms, how we could make this better, what isn't going to work, what will work for farmers. So please don't hesitate to reach out. But any questions, does anybody have any questions about the loan, about the program, who we're looking for, whatever it may be, fire them off and I'll try to do my best to answer them. I do have a flyer, yes.
Great. Okay, good. You answered that question. I had Patty raise her hand for a question.
Patty, I can hear you.
Great. Okay, good. I have questions. It sounds, but I have a lot of questions about how you are presenting this to investors, how they're going to make money, because if we're all trying to make money on this, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. And I'm especially interested in the carbon markets. You talk on your website about carbon removal credits. How are those going to operate? Who's going to be the buyers of those? Is there any guarantee that this kind of carbon market that has actually failed in the past, or at least not been as profitable as people have thought it would be? What are your thoughts on that, or what do you know about that? Thanks.
Yep, good questions, Patty. So to answer your first one, there's, how are we presenting this to investors? Largely, we're looking at foundations who have PRI capital that they're looking to invest, so that, is capital that they can use to account for their distributions, but they can receive a return on, and it's aligned with their mission, their philanthropic entity that they've created. Also, there's just high net worth individuals and private equity funds that are trying to experiment with revenue-based debt across the U.S. I mean, they're still going to get a return. We're looking at 1.5x over the course of 10 years. You're looking at about a 4% compound interest rate. It's just that the terms are a little different, and it's more impact oriented because it's based on revenue. So if that acreage isn't making any money, the investors aren't going to see a return, but that's an inherent risk that we're seeing that they're willing to take. So on the investor side, it's been perceived very well so far. We could dig into who those people are specifically, and if you're interested in learning more, we could have another call. And then on the carbon market side, with Nori to help them launch their pilot program. And you're right, carbon markets haven't worked in the past. We're very aware of that. And we're wading in, optimistically, but also pretty skeptically and cautiously, because we don't know if this will be the one that'll work out. And they seem to be solving a lot of the issues of previous markets, like project development time, verification cost, inaccuracies, especially in soil systems and working croplands, and then as well as creating a transparent marketplace and one where there's no double counting. So once a credit is sold, you know that it has been sold and it won't be double counted and sold again. The way that we're kind of accounting for that is really trying to empower Nori to do everything that they can to be successful and bring farmers into the pipeline. But we're not charging farmers to work with them. We're charging 20% of the carbon value on the back end once it's sold. So it's really a pay for success model. We don't want to charge consultation fees in hopes that this market will be great and make farmers thousands of dollars an acre, when in reality it's relatively risky since the carbon market in ag has not worked out before. The buyers for this are going to be mostly larger corporations that have these carbon standards that they've set out to meet, carbon neutrality goals or reduction goals by 2020, 2025, and 2030. So these are like the Carnival cruise ship. There's Coursera, the airline mitigation regulation that went into place. There's big entities like Patagonia that are trying to do the right thing and reduce their environmental footprint. There's tons of them out there, and they really think that carbon that's being removed on farmland is a pretty charismatic story, and it has a lot of co-benefits, they call them, along with the carbon itself, because the carbon isn't the whole story, it's just part of it. So those are, both good questions. Thank you.
Here's another one. So if you're not transitioning currently, are you not eligible for this program?
Correct, you'd not be eligible. This is specifically for acreage that wants to begin transition to organic. So you don't need to be transitioning as of right now, but if you plan on starting transitioning in fall of 2020, that would make you eligible. It's for acreage, to get you through the cash flow hurdle that many farms see, and then pay back, that kind of risk that we took with you up front to help you transition acreage. So it's not for conventional farms that are then thinking about transitioning years into the future, or organic farms that are already organic.
Patty has a question. What crops qualify?
Yeah, a variety of crops. We're largely looking at the big commodities like corn, soy, alfalfa, different heritage grains, but we really want to incorporate a lot more food crops. So, looking at pintos, black beans, garbs, lentils, a variety of different crops, but things that we can grow on a broad acreage and hit efficiencies to be able to actually harvest. That's largely what we're looking for, but we're flexible. Are we wrapping it up here?
Yep, I think it's a wrap. If you have questions for me or Brandon, reach out to us offline, and we look forward to connecting you on a different topic in the future. So thanks for taking time to participate today.
Thank you all.